It was 1 week ago, that is it, that the New York Times published that bombshell report revealing that the president paid no federal income taxes for 11 years and just $750 in 2016 and 17. And more importantly, over the course of the next 4 years, he owes over $400 million. We just don't know to whom. And today, the president's son, Eric Trump, is set to speak via video to New York investigators who are looking into whether the Trump Organization lied about its finances to get, guess what, tax benefits. Eric Trump was given until October 7th to comply with a subpoena from New York Attorney General Tisha James. Joining us now to discuss, Andrew Weissmann. He was one of the lead prosecutors in the Mueller investigation and former FBI general counsel. He is out with a new book about the Mueller probe. I highly recommend it, called Where Law Ends. Andrew, I am so glad you are here. If you were one of those investigators today asking Eric Trump questions, A, what would you ask him? And B, any shot he's going to give even a single answer?
Let me take the second one first. So, as you know, and I mentioned, Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, has been fighting since August in court to get this interview with Eric Trump, and she succeeded. And so today is D-Day for Eric Trump to answer questions. I think the so-called $750 question is, will he testify or will he assert the Fifth Amendment? Things have just gotten worse for him and the Trump Organization in terms of all the questions. And so it is a good possibility, and we'll presumably know relatively soon whether he is going to assert the Fifth Amendment. In the civil case that Letitia James is bringing, that would mean that an adverse inference could be drawn against Eric Trump for doing so. And the questions that are so many, based on the New York Times reporting, one of the big questions is who owns the debt? If there is really $420 million in debt, who owns that? Are they banks? Are they foreign sources of income? And the other types of questions you want to know are classic tax and money laundering questions that we asked with respect to, for instance, Paul Manafort in the special counsel investigation, which is, when you're dealing with the IRS, are you deflating improperly your income and increasing improperly your debt? And when you're going to banks, are you doing the reverse? Because to get a bank loan, you want to show that you have lots of income and you have very little debt. In Paul Manafort's case, that's exactly the strategy that he undertook. And so I think that's going to be what's going to be looked into now.
Unless there's something nefarious, why wouldn't you, as a business person, make it clear, here's who I owe the money to? It is normal for a big business to owe big money. It is not normal to keep it a secret who that is. Why wouldn't they answer that question? There's nothing nefarious about owing a lot of money if you run a business.
Absolutely. If you are a reputable company, you have books and records, and they're audited by, reputable accountants, and you have tracked every last penny, and there's nothing wrong with just saying this is what we did. And frankly, if there's some errors, that's fine. You fix them. Here, the question is whether we're dealing with that kind of organization. I can tell you an anecdote from my organized crime prosecution days, which was somebody that we had prosecuted was going to be going back into to work in New York. And I said, so what are you going to do? And he said, well, I'm going to go work in real estate because it's completely unregulated. So this was an ex-felon who said, look, that's a great place to go work because Stephanie, all the things that you mentioned, sort of having accountants and being sort of above board and running, having books and records that you're used to seeing public scrutiny. That's the kind of thing that you don't see typically in the real estate market because there isn't that kind of oversight.
Then with all due respect, do you think you made a mistake during the Mueller probe? Because the president told the New York Times that the special counsel would be crossing a red line if you looked into his finances. Now, knowing what you know from the New York Times reporting, was it a mistake that you didn't?
So, Stephanie, it's not just knowing what we know now. This was a discussion at the time in the special counsel investigation, we were tasked with looking at all connections between the Trump campaign and Russia, and that would include financial ties. And one of the things that I write about is what, in my humble opinion, was a mistake. I think that we should have done more, and I sort of describe how that came about, what the internal discussions were. But my view, and I was not the special counsel. Robert Mueller is obviously a wonderful, wonderful person and had reasons for his decision. But I do think it was a mistake not to have gone into his finances more. And I think the New York Times reporting suggests that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.